There are mornings when we wake up in a world still spinning, yet inside, there's nothing left to move us forward. All the sounds of life grow distant, as if we're living in a dream that has lost its color. No one has left us, and yet we feel ourselves fading. All the things that once made our hearts tremble now lie like dry leaves, falling in the wind unnoticed. Some call it depression, some call it a crisis. But perhaps deeper than that, it is the moment the soul begins to awaken after too many roles. When everything collapses, it is not the end of the world. It is the old within us dissolving, so that an empty space may open for what truly wants to live. We are often afraid when we step into that emptiness. We call it confusion, or being lost, or meaningless. Because since childhood, we were taught that we must always have something to follow: a dream, a person, a goal. And when all those things no longer make us feel alive, we think we're broken. But perhaps it is only the first time we have stopped. We stop in the middle of the rushing stream of life, where the mind no longer knows what to cling to. All the values that once lifted us now turn to dust, and we begin to see, behind all the roles, there isn't much left of who we truly are. It is in that moment, when everything inside and outside falls silent, that the soul begins to stir, longing to return to its original root. Emptiness is not a black hole that swallows, but a mirror wiped clean of illusion. It forces us to face ourselves, with nowhere left to hide. And if one has the courage to stand still before that mirror, one may begin to see something strange. Behind the fear of losing everything lies a lightness like wind, a peace never known before. We often fear emptiness because we were taught that only when something fills our lives do they have meaning. We're used to running, having work to do, someone to move toward, a reason to wake each morning. But when one day all those things no longer touch our heart, we panic. We think we've lost direction, that something in us is broken, that we are no longer ourselves. But the truth is gentler. It's simply that we are stepping out of what was never truly us. When old motivations fade, when outer noise can no longer drown the silence within, the soul begins to want to live honestly. It grows tired of pretending to be strong, to know, to have, to smile. It only wants to be still. Emptiness doesn't come to destroy, but to clear. It clears away dreams that no longer fit, people we cling to only out of fear of loneliness, values we once thought were foundations but were only foam. Like a receding tide revealing the bare ocean floor, emptiness takes nothing from us. It only shows us that we never truly possessed anything. We never owned, never controlled, never understood ourselves completely. In those moments, we may feel lost, standing in a wide room where the sounds of the world still echo, yet the heart feels like stone. Others call it a mental crisis, burnout, or despair. But from the view of consciousness, it is the in-between, where the old is gone and the new has not yet formed. Like a seed that, after breaking its shell, passes through a moment of darkness in the soil. It is not yet a tree, but no longer a seed. And if the seed feared the dark, it would never grow. So it is with us. When we lose what once defined us, we think we are dying. But often, it is only the shell of the ego cracking. We can't bear emptiness because within it, there's no anchor to name ourselves. We are no one, belong nowhere, and don't know what to do next. That feeling of not knowing makes the mind tremble. For all this time, we believed knowing was safety. But awakening doesn't come from knowing more. It comes from letting go of what we thought we knew. Emptiness, in its deepest sense, is a stage of cleansing. Like an artist who wipes away an old painting to begin anew. In that moment, the blank canvas frightens them, afraid to fail, afraid of emptiness, afraid of having nothing left to hold onto. But it is within that white space that all new possibilities are born. The emptiness within us is the same. It's not a dead end, but a pure canvas where the soul wishes to repaint life with colors more true, more still, more gentle. We suffer not because of emptiness, but because we resist it. We rush to fill it with something, a new relationship, a new goal, a journey, a belief. But everything we grasp while empty is fragile, for it's only a temporary medicine. Like someone dying of thirst who drinks dew, the thirst fades for a moment, only to return stronger. The more we fill, the emptier we feel. Because emptiness isn't outside, it lies within the self that keeps trying to fill. There are those who, after achieving all they ever dreamed of, sit in houses full of light, yet feel surrounded by darkness. not because they've lost, but because their souls have reached the limit of having. When the outer world is too full, the inner world begins to starve, starving for truth, for peace, for connection with oneself. And that hunger is the true invitation of awakening. Emptiness doesn't come to the weak, but to those who've gone far enough to realize the world cannot save them. When all effort fails, when every belief collapses, that is not failure, it is a call to return. Only when false frames dissolve can the soul breathe. If we can sit quietly within that emptiness, not filling, not fleeing, not naming, it will slowly melt away, revealing a strange stillness, warm as the first breath of dawn. In that stillness, we understand, emptiness never killed us. It only killed the illusion that we ever knew who we were. We suffer not because of emptiness, but because we don't dare to stay with it. Deep inside, we fear that void will swallow us, that if we don't think, don't do, don't strive, we'll disappear. But it is the very thought that I must be someone that strangles the soul. When everything familiar is taken away, the mind trembles, unanchored. But if one is still enough to observe, one will see something strange. Even as all collapses, there remains a part within us untouched, silent, witnessing, unmoved by anything. That is the true self. The emptiness we fear is merely the space between the false fading and the real emerging. We only need to pause long enough to see it. The emptiness we experience is not the darkness of nothingness, but the night before the dawn of awareness. Like a field after harvest, bare and desolate, seemingly dead, yet it is within that bareness that new life can grow. If the field stayed forever full of old crops, new seeds could never sprout. So it is with the soul. It must pass through a fading, a soft death, so that the inner space can open for another kind of life, purer, deeper, and free from all that is outside. We fear emptiness because in it, the self is no longer the center. There is no one left to tell the story, no story left to believe in. Our mind has lived by the motion of thoughts, so when thoughts stop, it believes it has died. But if we are willing to stay in that silence, we will discover that behind every thought, there is still a ground that observes. That ground needs no name, no form, no reason to exist. It simply is. It is the deepest, stillest, brightest part of us. And sometimes, to find it, we must walk through a long desert of emptiness. In Buddhism, there is a term called shunyata, emptiness. People often fear it, thinking empty means losing everything, becoming nothing. But in truth, shunyata is not nothingness. It is spaciousness without attachment. When all forms dissolve, what remains is not darkness, but an infinite light, the space from which all things arise. Like the sky. Only when the clouds disappear do we see it was never lost. The emptiness within us is the same. It is not a pit, but the sky that has never been confined. When we understand this, emptiness ceases to be the enemy and becomes the gate. It forces us to stop running, stop seeking, stop defining our lives through a role. It calls us to turn back, to face the void that once frightened us, and to realize there is nothing to fear, because that very void is our essence. When the mind falls into silence, when no thought is held, we do not vanish, we return. People often search for peace as a destination, but in truth, peace is not at the end of the road. It is the space holding the whole journey, through pain, through emptiness. Peace is not a pleasant feeling, but a total acceptance of what is. When we look at emptiness through the eyes of acceptance, it is no longer an abyss, but a still lake reflecting all things. And in that moment, all questions fade. No more, why am I suffering? Why am I lost? Why can't I find meaning? Because the one who is seeing, hearing, breathing is already the meaning. It needs no name, needs to become nothing. What remains when everything falls away? That is who we are. When we stop resisting emptiness, something strange happens. Everything seems to slow down. The pain remains, but it no longer screams. The emptiness stays, but it no longer terrifies. We begin to see that fear does not live in the void, but in the thought, I must escape it. It is the struggle to escape that exhausts us. When we stop, when we no longer try to fill it, emptiness begins to soften, like a wide space where every sound can rise and fade without leaving a trace. Like sitting in the stillness of night, at first we fear the wind, the dark, but the longer we stay, the more we hear the wonder. In that darkness, the world is still breathing. The wind, the crickets, the breath of the earth, the heartbeat, all continue to exist within a vast silence. The emptiness within us is the same. When we are quiet enough to see, we find it is not void, but the ground of every emotion. It allows sadness to come, joy to come, and both to pass away. We realize we don't need to chase emptiness away, nor grasp anything to fill it. We only need to sit quietly within it. For in that silence, what is true begins to stir. A deeper breath. A lightness in the chest, a small gleam near the corner of the eye. We don't know where it comes from, but it is enough to remind us that we are still alive. Not the rushed kind of living, but a still, deep, slow life. Then emptiness is no longer a pit, but a well. The deeper the well, the clearer the water. When we lean over it, we no longer see a distorted reflection, but a clear one, calm, real. All the questions that once stirred the mind dissolve like smoke. Because we understand, nothing needs to be filled. Emptiness is only frightening when we try to make it something else. But when we let it be what it is, open, still, empty, it becomes peace. Like the breath, when we try to hold it, it becomes rushed. When we let it go, it becomes natural. Life is the same. When we stop trying to control it, everything returns to its true rhythm. The trees still grow, the clouds still drift, the heart still beats. Nothing needs to be found again. The only thing needed is to stay still and see that nothing was ever lost. The emptiness we once feared now becomes our greatest teacher, teaching us how to sit with what we don't understand, how to look into the dark without panic, teaching us that peace is not the absence of emptiness, but the ability to smile within it. And when we begin to smile within emptiness, it changes color. It's no longer a swallowing darkness, but a quiet light. Like mist fading as the sun rises, we find our minds slowly clearing. Not because something new appears, but because we have stopped trying to push away what already is. When we release the need to understand, emptiness begins to soften. It is no longer a question, but a pause between two breaths. We realize that everything that once frightened us was never truly real. Fear exists only as long as we believe something must be different. But when we let things be what they are, let emptiness be empty, darkness be dark, pain be pain, the mind opens like a flower in morning dew. No effort, no search, just permission for all things to exist. And in that simple existence, something strange happens. We no longer feel we are enduring emptiness. We are being held by it. Like a child resting in a mother's arms, needing neither to know where it came from nor where it's going. The emptiness now carries no coldness, only stillness. No weight, only clarity. What was once an abyss becomes a still lake, reflecting the sky above. In that moment, we feel our heart like a drop of water falling into the sea. There is no boundary between us and emptiness. Everything merges into one. Nothing to measure, to hold, to name. All thoughts about the meaning of life fade like mist in sunlight. We no longer need a reason to exist because existence itself is reason enough. This breath, this heartbeat, this light trembling on our hand, all are already complete. Emptiness, for an instant, becomes boundless stillness. No question left to ask, no answer left to seek. Every effort to understand becomes light as smoke dissolving into the space around. And in that space, only one thing remains. We are still here. Not lacking, not excess, not wrong, not right. Simply here, simply alive. That is when one realizes what we feared losing was never real. Nothing was taken, because everything only changed form. The self we once clung to has dissolved like a dream, and what now sees, what now hears, that is the deepest, stillest part of us. We no longer need to become anyone, nor reach anything, just to be here, with the emptiness, with the stillness. In that space, peace is no longer something to seek, but something we already are. Perhaps, emptiness was never something that came from outside. It is a part within us, gently reminding us we have wandered far from ourselves. For years, we lived by noise, by desire, by borrowed dreams, until the noise stopped, and we realized no one had truly been living in this body. Only streams of thought passing by, changing masks and names, calling themselves me. And now, as all fades, what remains is not loss, but return. In that emptiness, there is no story left to continue, no role left to hold. Only life, simple, bare, and silent. We hear the wind through the window, the heartbeat touching each second, and we see peace was never far away. It was always here, quiet, waiting for us to stop running. If today you feel empty, do not rush to fill it. Sit down. Let that emptiness breathe, exist, be itself. Because sometimes only in emptiness do we become full. Only in silence do we finally hear our own voice. And when you no longer fear the emptiness, you will see it was never an ending, but a door opening to the morning of the soul. A dawn without light, only clarity. A rebirth without sound, only serenity. If we are meant to, we will meet again.